Hi, I'm going to do some whittling today, and so I figured I'd take a video of my progress. I don't really have a plan yet. I'm just going to kind of go at it and see what I come up with. So I'm going to try and set you guys up here. Give me one sec. And there we go. Got you all set up. Start just by sharpening my knife. I have this is kind of what I use. It's a homemade knife made by an old family friend. The blade is here on this part here. I'm not sure why. I believe there's a reason for it. I just kind of like it for carving because I have this nice thick back that I can put my thumb into when I'm carving. So I'm just going to sharpen this up a bit. It's been a while since I've used it. Let's see if I can bring it down so you can see what I'm doing a little better. Hopefully my gimbal doesn't die on me. I don't have a normal tripod, my camera. I just have this gimbal that I use for my walking videos. I don't have a very good sharpener. I just have this like a little cheap one I got. I know there's some people out there that take a lot better care of their blades than I do that are probably grimacing right now. But this does the job. It's a Lansky, and it's got two sides, so just do a little rough on one side. Wow, there's got a notch on my blade. That's not good. Like I said, it's been a while since I used this. When I first started using this, it was an old blade that I hadn't been taken care of, and so it actually was completely rusted. You can see some of the pock marks still. It was completely rusted over. Really, really bad. I mean, I cleaned this thing up quite a bit to get it to where it is now. Alright, starting to get some of those tougher parts off. Okay, I'll go to the other side. As I understand it, it's just kind of like a finer grit. I don't really know, to be honest. Okay, and just test it on here. Oh yeah, it'll feel just fine. And this is just pine. You can get it from scraps from local lumberyard. I just bought mine from like a craft store because I wanted nice, like even blocks for messing around with. Again, I'm not sure what I'm going to carve yet. We're just going to kind of play with it, get into it, and see what we're going to make. I'm going to start by rounding off this block. I like to keep these little bits of wood for a fire. Sometimes I use it to fill in holes in other projects. Some wood glue. A little too deep there, so just come in from the other side. Trying to think of some things I can make for my students. You know, I'm trying to save some money, but I want to have fun little prizes for them to earn. So I figured maybe I can make some of my own, and plus it's a nice little touch for the kids. I have something made by me, you know. Okay, I just wanted to round this off just so it's not so uniformly square. I don't know, I feel like I have a better idea of coming up with ideas when the quote-unquote canvas isn't like perfect. You really shouldn't pull the blade towards you, technically, but if you're careful, it's fine. Get a bit more grip on it that way. Just make sure you have control over your blade. Whittling's is one of those pastimes that it's very relaxing. Requires focus, but like not really thinking. I mean, you're kind of just getting lost in the art of it, and so it's kind of nice. And quiet your brain down a little bit. And honestly, I'm talking a lot right now, but I'm doing this partly for content for YouTube, so I mean, gotta talk. I definitely want to look at this as a how-to. There's a lot better videos out there for that, and it's not really my goal. Just taking some time to try and turn this block of wood into something more fun. Can I round it off the edges a little bit so it's not quite so uniform? So I'm just going to kind of look at it for a second, figure out what I want to make with it, clean up my area a little bit before I get into it more. So I'll be right back. So, had some things happen while I hit pause. Luckily I paused it at the right time. My gimbal died, so I got this old tripod out, and the piece to hold the phone just snapped right off. So we're gonna do the old-fashioned leaning up against something and see how that works. Okay. It's not a great angle, but you know, it'll work. So I have some carving sets here. They're just a really cheap set from Michael's, I want to say. It's a Westcott brand. They're just a couple chisels and then some gouging tools. Let me show you what they are. There's 6 in here. So you just have some options here to work with. But they're really cheap. These are good ones because you have to sharpen your tools, and if you're not familiar with how to sharpen your tools, these are really easy ones to learn on, because if you mess them up, they're like $5 maybe. But if you keep care of them, they do work pretty well, especially for this real soft wood like this pine here. So I didn't clean up super well. So I did come up with an idea for what I was going to do. When I was a kid, there was a neighbor we had that liked doing glass work, and she let us play with the pieces and make our own pieces. So I have this glass piece that I made when I was a kid, and it's supposed to be a guy with a hat, kind of like doing a dance or something like that. But I'm going to try and do something similar to this on here. I don't have a lot of room to work with, so it's going to be kind of tough. And I got to figure out how I want to make it a solid piece, because it was not one initially. So I got a little pencil here, and we'll just sharpen it up a bit, and then draw on our design. So we'll draw it on one side first and just make sure that it's going to fit for the most part, and then I'll draw it on the other sides and we'll start carving. Alright, so simple design. I can change it up as we carve. I had to find a way to connect the pieces because they were disconnected before. So it does look a little different than before. Hopefully we'll give it some personality of its own as we carve. So first we just got to carve off all the excess stuff before we can really get into it. I put the design on the other side yet because I'm not really worried about getting that design yet. I'm just carving off the excess stuff. So we'll do that. Now you could just cut this with like a saw or something. I'm not really in a hurry, so I'm not going to bother. I can easily cut off chunks of it just like this. I'm going to go around the sides here and just make a guideline. just like this, so I don't accidentally cut too much of material off. You can just mark that, rotating your blade back and forth like this. When you have really easy, soft material like this to work with, it's pretty easy to mark it. Does also mean that, you know, it's easier to take off too much material, so just kind of what you want. It's not as durable. But if you're just practicing or just kind of playing like I am, this real soft material works great. Probably go grab my pole saw for the bottom half here. Show you can save some time doing that. But just get some material off. We're just getting some real big chunks off right now. We're not worried about the shape at all. We're not shaping it yet. You can also get designs online, so if you don't want to draw your own design, you're not, you don't feel like you're artistic. I mean, if you're doing this, you're probably more artistic than you think. Like, we all have our own strengths. I think most people are artistic in their own way. But regardless, there's designs online if you're looking for something specific. You just print it off, and then you'll glue it on, and then you'll carve out the shape from the paper. So there's some pretty easy ones you can find online to get started. And you know, as you carve out more and more of the material, you just update your design. You know, the nice thing about wood carvings like this is each piece is going to be unique, because each piece of wood is unique. You're never going to carve it exactly the same. Alright, to save some time on the video portion here, because I don't want it running too long, I'm going to go ahead and grab the saw and cut off the excess at the top here, excess here, and I'll probably go ahead and draw my design on the other sides, just so we can see the profile from each side, so I don't accidentally cut off too much material and mess up my design. So I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. So, I want to correct myself. I've been saying this is pine. You can use white pine as well for your whittling, wood carving. This is actually basswood, though. This is really good, too, because it's nice and soft. I think this is probably better recommended for whittling. I couldn't tell you exactly why. So we're just going to cut off the excess here. I have this like Japanese pole saw. I mean, the design is Japanese. I don't know if it's actually Japanese. It's a Rui tool. So the only difference between this and most saws you'll have in like the United States, for example, most saws in the United States are push saws. So you'll do the tearing as you do your push stroke. These you actually pull first, and that way you'll pull each time, and that's where your cut will come from. So use that marker I made earlier to get started. Try not to cut my table. And these are really nice saws. I just got a little bitty one here for products like this. You can get them in multiple sizes. Perfect. Okay. We'll just cut off all that excess material. We'll do the same down here by his legs. I like to think this guy is like some kind of bard, you know. If you're a D&D person, that's what I'm thinking. A musician. I'm really hurrying out to get this table. This is a real cheap table. There's no way to fix it really. I mean, not well. It's just press wood. But there we go. We got all the excess material off. We'll save all of our scraps. Sawdust is great for filling in gaps. A little bit of wood glue, wood putty. Okay. I'm just using a little butter tub to keep that, keeps it nice and dry, and there we go. Okay, so now we'll start getting some of this other excess off. Oh, I forgot to draw the other sides. Let me do that. Okay, got the other sides drawn. Doesn't have to be too exact. We just got to get it similar enough so that we don't accidentally carve off too much material. We'll really refine it once we have all the excess material off. We'll start making that a little neater. So we'll start carving off this excess here. That bit's a big chunk. I could probably have sawed that, but that's okay. I like carving, so it's okay. But if you're looking to save time, you know, any big chunks like this here, you could saw off, save you a little time. You could probably do the top drawing as well, but I'm just gonna real quickly mark it and not worry about it. So like I said, these softer woods, this is basswood. Like I was saying earlier, you can use pine, white pine. It's only two I know of for whittling. You can use harder woods, but it's going to be harder to get those fine details without it chipping or splitting. The softer wood will let you get those details. I had an old piece of oak from I don't know, some project, and I tried whittling with that, and it was pretty hard. I was gonna make a chess piece with it, just for fun, and yeah, it was pretty tough. That's some hard wood. I started it and I never finished it because it was kind of hurting my hands. But you could definitely use it. Just gotta be patient and have tough fingers. All right, well, we're gonna work on his hat here and get that all carved up. I might pause it here and there. I'm trying to shoot for about half an hour, and this will probably take me longer than that. Any longer than that, my videos, I don't know. I don't do super long content. I know people aren't patient like that anymore. I like it. I like seeing people craft, and it's relaxing. Yeah, maybe I'll just keep going, you know. Slowly fix YouTube one video at a time with their crazy short video content. You know, I'll do shorts and stuff like that, and those will get thousands of views, and my long form content like walking and stuff. Even if it's the same kind of content, actually, same type, I mean, it'll get like 10, 20. So that's just the algorithm these days, I think. Not that I do this for money or anything. I'm going to say no to money. Get more craft supplies that way. But I like making videos. They're fun. Okay. I got the profile of the hat formed out for the most part. Well, yeah. I just got some extra material here. Let's get this off. I realize I did not really, I just drew the other sides quickly because I had forgotten to do it. And I didn't quite get it the same size. I like my original drawing better, so I'm going to use that to kind of gauge where to go. I do have these other tools here that I could use, but they're not quite as good as like a pocket knife, unless you're doing like small details, because they are pretty small, and it's harder to get a grip with these things. That's just my personal opinion. They are nice for doing details or gouging into the material. Can't really gouge with this. This is more for cutting. You could, I guess, with the tip, but it's not going to be quite the same as using those other materials, other tools. I like using this knife for some sentimental value, but I will say I don't know how the forging. I don't know forging very well, but this hand forged knife does not hold an edge as well as some of my other knives, so I do have to sharpen it here and there. Which for softwood like this, I probably shouldn't need to sharpen it that often, but I don't know. It's got sentimental value, and I'm being honest, I kind of just like the way it looks. So I'm gonna keep using it. If I was doing this for somebody else and I needed it done in a hurry, I might switch to one of my other knives, or use some of my power tools. But if it's just for me, not in a hurry. We have the basic shape of the hat going. I do want to notch out the back of the hat before I move on to the rest of the body, because I think I could do that pretty easy. We're getting pretty close to having that shape out. I'm trying to decide if I want this to be like a flat cap or curved on top. I don't have to decide yet, but think about it while I'm carving the rest of it. Okay, we have that. All right, I'm gonna work on carving out this huge chunk here. I'm gonna pause until I get to some of the finer bits of the piece. All right, so I cheated a little bit and used my saw to get some of that material off. This is quite a bit. I wanted to get back to some of the details. I didn't hurt myself with the saw, so I got a little bit of punishment for cheating. And then I just used one of the chisels to clean it up a bit. So that's where we're at now. So now we have this backside here to carve out. That's not a lot of material, so I'm just going to use my knife for that one. I'm not quite carving out where that hat is yet. Most of it just happens naturally. Try and take small shavings here. That's why I hurt myself earlier. My hand slipped. Gotta be careful. Got some sharp stuff here. I think technically you should probably wear glasses when you do this, but I think I probably do have safety glasses. I just don't want to look for them. Just if you're doing this, take whatever precautions you see necessary. You don't want to get a splinter in your eye. So if you're like brand spanking new to carving things, maybe be careful. I do want a thinner profile for this character, which I carved off most of it, but you can see down here, I made it thinner. I'm going to do that last because I need to have excess material whenever I try to go do the head, because I am going to try to make it round. With such a small little thing, it's going to be kind of risky because I don't want to pop a head off. So I'm going to leave a little bit at the neck area here, and a little to attach the hat here, where it's not perfectly round. Otherwise, pop off. You can always take off more material later. It's a lot harder to put it back on. I mean, you can if you want to use a lot of wood glue and wood putty, but it's not going to be the same. Okay, I'm going to start working on notching where that hat is. So I'm just going to put a nice notch in my material first, so I can see where I'm going. You can see I notched my material back here, and then I'll just slowly carve that area out. I think it'd be a good time to use one of the other tools, actually. I have these gouges, so you can gouge material out, just like that. Comes out real easy. It's got a blade on the front, and you kind of scoop. And this is a really small piece. I've got a lot of room to hold here. I like this side better for drawing, so I'm going to use this drawing better. Okay, well, this Band-Aid ain't working. Whatever, it's not bladed anymore. Very much. Okay. You can also do this with your pocket knife if you don't have these gouges. They're just a nice little tool to use. I can just kind of rotate it as I'm going, just like that. And then you have these little shavings. You just cut down to remove them. You just keep doing that until you have the shape that you want. So just use whatever tools you got. You don't have to go buy anything new unless you want to. I think most people have a pocket knife somewhere around. Just keep it sharp. If you need to stop and sharpen it, do it. It'll save you time in the long run. Okay, we have the shape of the hat mostly notched out there, so we're going to move to this material here. I'm going to show you what I did earlier, because it's a trick that maybe not everyone knows, but you're just going to saw a couple of lines out, and you'll just pry those pieces to break them. You want to do it a little above where you want it and a little to the sides of where you want. You want to do exactly because it'll snap off a little bit. So I'll do that. So that's one. Clean it up a little bit so you can see it better. And we'll just do at least one more, maybe two if I can fit it in there. The more you do, the easier it'll be to snap them. Okay, so I got little notches. I'll just where'd my knife go? Oh. Take my knife in there and just wiggle it to the side. I'll come right out. They'll come right out. There we go. And take a little extra material off there. I realized my hat, I wasn't quite done with it looks like, so we'll get the hat real quick. You can tell now that I cut that piece off. Trying to figure out how to go best with the grain here. You know what? I'll take his little hand first. Carve his little hand out. That'll give me some more room with the hat. Got a knot or something there. There we go. Now I'm getting these finer pieces, I gotta be a little more careful. I don't put too much pressure on it because I might end up snapping it. I'm trying to use one of my gouges. I have this little sharp corner gouge. It's almost 90 degrees. It's hard to see there, but use that to get some of the material out from the hands/neck area here. Underneath the hat. Now I'm starting to get some of this excess material off. I'm trying to decide exactly how I want this shaped. You know, do I want more of a blocky hand or that sort of bulbous round hand that I had on the other piece? I kind of want it to be round, so I'm trying to round it out now and see exactly how big I want it. His feet here on the way. You're on the way, buddy. You just want to get a rough shape when you're doing round, because you can round it off with sandpaper or whatever sanding tool you're using. I have like a sponge, sand sponge that I use. And I can use sandpaper for the little tough spots, tough to reach spots. I want to get the shape mostly there, because it is kind of a tough to reach spot right here at this hand. Okay. Now I'm going to start getting that neck carved out a little bit. I don't want to take too much material off here. Like I said earlier, the neck's got to mostly stay together. Let's go ahead and carve flat there, and then we'll round it underneath the hat. I think that's good. Okay. I'll start to corner it off. Yeah, there we go. Mark where the hat is here. Don't want to accidentally lose the hat. And when you mark it like that, if you start to carve towards your mark, make sure it's in there fairly deep and kind of wiggle it to get in there. Once you go towards your mark, it'll just peel off like that. It's a good way of peeling off in exactly where you want it. I'm going to peel off more, this hat more straight here, underneath. Start to use my chisels for these tough to reach spots with my knife. Again, you can use a knife. Maybe I should, just to show you can, but I don't know. I bought these tools, I want to use them. But just trust me, just because I'm not using a knife doesn't mean you can't. You can do it, just gonna take a little more patience to get those tough to reach spots. But I do recommend, if you want to carve some things more, whether it's this or you can do like this box. This box says like soap carving. You can do soap carving, I guess. I've never done that. Print making, so if you're making like prints for, you can do like CMYK printing, but with like foam or probably even wood, I guess. Yeah, you can do wood prints, but you know, you can use these for those too. Just mark this. Start rounding it off the other way. Bottom of the neck here. And the body is in a good spot, kind of like where it's at. So we're going to try and keep that shape as much as we can. This is why I didn't make it thin yet, because I'm going to get rid of a lot of material just getting this basic shape. And you can start to see the head starting to form here. I want to keep that neck a little bit, so we're just going to carve out the back. So the back of the neck curves a little bit from underneath the head. And we're going to do the same with our little guy here, our little bard. Make a little story for him as you're carving. Jeremiah, that's a good name. This is Jeremiah. I feel like that's a good bard name. It's extravagant enough, you know. Now listen to Jeremiah and his beautiful stories. Okay. Yeah, maybe he grew up on a farm, listening to stories from his grandparents, and he wanted to go see the world and see some of the characters from their stories. You know, knights, fair maidens, wanderers. So he left with some stories that his grandparents told him. Made a name for himself singing, telling stories by the campfires, earning himself a place to stay each night just from his entertaining. Our little Jeremiah here. And then he started to find those adventurers, right? Maybe he found some, started following them around, kind of like a dandelion or a... I don't really know that many famous bards. I know the tropes. And carve his back out a little bit. Give him a bit of a thin hip here, where the small of his back is. There we go. So just do that mark, carve towards it, and it'll pop right off. Like that. Oh, not quite easy. There we go. Oh. Careful not to take too much material off. Gonna run out soon. Okay, got the small of his back mostly shaped out here. Hang on. Just realized the other side's not quite as far taken off. Let's carve off a little more here. Don't want to carve off too much. I do want to make it uniform on both sides. Okay, I feel like that's enough for me to be able to start sanding the back. Okay, that's where we're at so far. We lost a lot of material already. I'll show you at the end how much material you really get off of this when you're making your designs. I'm by no means an expert, you know, self-taught and all that. But I do like carving. I just probably couldn't tell you too much about it beyond what I know, I guess. Just know that, you know, if you take your time, have patience, even if you're a beginner, you can make some pretty fun designs. Okay, we have a lot of material still, so I'm going to start to shape out this head a little more, especially underneath the hat here, so we can kind of distinguish between what's the hat and what's the head. Okay. Try and use that 90-degree gouge a little more. There we go, yeah. Start to get some more of that material out of there. Now, if you've watched it this far, we're about 48 minutes into it, I really appreciate your time. Hopefully you've been entertained a little bit. Let me know if you have any requests or ideas for future videos. I like doing crafts. I like nature, so I do a lot of nature videos. Mostly walking or streams. I go to the arboretum where I live here, and it's beautiful. Clean some of that neck out in the front now, so we can see the neck versus like the head here. Normally I'd probably do this outside, but it's been really hot here this time of year, and I don't feel like sweating a bunch right now. I just took a shower. I want to stay nice and clean. Okay. You can start to see our guys forming. Like I said, you'll clean it up a lot with your sanding tools. I like to make my own sanding tools. You can get you know, a block of wood like this and shape it to the point that you want, and then you can just staple sandpaper to it to get your own sanding tool shape that you want. If you have a 3D printer, there's a lot of 3D printing designs online that you can get, and again, same thing, you just kind of wrap the sandpaper around it and you get screws to tighten it into place. I'd use those. You can just kind of fold the sandpaper into the shape that you want. Okay, I'm gonna start to round off this hat as well. I decided I do kind of want a rounded shape, so it's gonna be a little taller in the middle, and go down around the edges. It's been a while since I sharpened these. I probably should, but you gotta sharpen these with like a file. I don't feel like getting it out. I have some somewhere. You live in an apartment, you gotta kind of make do with the space you have, and that usually involves piling things on top of each other. Here we go. This is kind of where you're really just looking at it and saying, like, how do I want this to look, right? We've got the chunks off. This is really where you're designing it, though. Initially, you make your design, but you don't really know what you want it to look like until you get to about here, when you got all the excess off, and you're just trying to figure out, what do I want my little guy to look like, or what do I want my little object to look like exactly. At least that's how I do it. I don't know. Not much of a planner. I have a general idea, and then I change it up as I go. So I know other people a little more practiced than me might have a better idea. I'm kind of along for the ride, just like you guys are. Okay, I'll probably sand off the rest of that. I still want to get this head a little more, like, defined. I'm just really worried about popping that head off. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, well, let me get the legs first, and then we're going to start thinning this guy out like I had planned, rounding his body off some more, and hopefully that will help get this head where I want it to be as well. I say that and then I start doing the body. All right, let's do the legs. So I just want to get the legs here, and I might use the saw for this, because I could probably saw out. Ooh, I should have done this part first, probably. It's gonna be hard now with so little material left, but we're gonna give it a shot. Just gonna get it started here. Here, let's use the finer teeth. That'll help. I just can't hold it still very well. That's the problem. Trying to decide how deep I actually want these legs. Should be about half the body, but ooh, maybe short legs. We're gonna have some short legs. That's okay. More like a stylistic person rather than realistic anyway. A little deeper here. Zoop. So much sawdust. Meh. Okay. And we'll carve that out. I'm gonna use my 90-degree gouge. Ow. Stab myself. Okay. and bleeding a little bit. You know, so free stain. If you want blood red, it's actually gonna be like rust brown, but you know, that's okay. We're getting so close to the end here. I'm starting to rush a little bit. I gotta slow down. Okay. Go for my rounder gouge. Trying to round this leg out. I'm not confident how I want it to look is the only problem here. So I probably should stop for a second, figure out exactly what I want from this. Let me just get out this material in here that I already cut. It's just stuck in there. Yeah, there. Yeah. There we go. I mean, there we go. We got the legs separated at least. I think I want it rounded, I think. So let's round it off. You don't think those chisels are sharp until you use them, but they are sharp. No, they don't look sharp. Knife, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna cut myself with a knife. Be careful. I don't know, maybe I didn't grow up. Well, that's not true. I did grow up doing this stuff, but I don't know, you forget, I guess. Can I be disrespecting my grandpa and my dad if I said I didn't grow up with around this kind of thing? Carving and woodworking and all that kind of stuff. My grandpa and my dad did that stuff all the time. And I remember I would just sit in my grandpa's shop and watch him work. And then, you know, help out as much as a kid can help out. Well, I guess, you know, if you don't use these skills, you lose them. So when I was an adult and had a little more free time, I was trying to find something to do that wasn't, you know, video games or do a lot of reading, but something different than that. I rediscovered, I guess, these old skills, these old hobbies. My grandparents, my dad did, mom did. You know, I started doing crochet again. I did that when I was a kid. My grandma and my mom tried to show me how to do it, and oh man, I can't think right now. Embroidery. I started doing that again, sewing and making my own clothes, fixing my clothes. Well, that one's just because I'm cheap and I don't want to buy new clothes and shoes, but we'll say it's for fun too. Yeah. Okay. Now I think we have the basic shape of everything. I can start to thin this out, and as I do, I'm going to round off the edges, and it'll help my shape look a little better. You know, so he'll be wider in the shoulders, wider in the hips, you know, stuff like that. Like right here, I'll carve out some, leave out some room for his hips. Let's see, right there. And you can notch to make marks. And right here. Here we go. Okay. Oh, he is all cheeked up. Got a whole bakery going on. If I wasn't making this for my students, I might do that because it's kind of funny. But no, I'm not going to give them a butt. I mean, beyond normal, biological looking normal butt. Carve out the neck a little bit. Oh, buddy. That way you don't look so block-headed. Oh. I'm a teacher and a dad. I'm gonna have bad jokes. Sorry in advance. Well, this video is way longer than I was shooting for. I was shooting for half an hour, but you know, long-form content, I guess, is good. Let me know if you would like to see this like heavily edited and shortened, if you prefer it long like this. You know, if I ever do one of these in the future, I can always edit it and shorten it. But I kind of decided right now, I'm gonna keep it all in for now, unless someone requests I make it shorter. Alright, we're going to start to carve out his hands a little bit and the legs a little more. Actually, I'll take that part off with sanding. Let me get these legs separated a little better. Sanding in here is going to be... oh, it's going to be a nightmare. Okay. Alright, now we're going to separate the legs. So let's see, let's have him left leg out front. Yeah. His left leg out front. So here we'll mark it right down the middle here. Maybe his right leg. There we go. Got a lot of it all at once there. Let's not do that. Don't want to break the wrong leg. So there it goes. Why is it so tough? There we go. Got his leg, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Cut off my blood stain. That's good. See, there's no problem at all. It's like I never got cut. Anyone watching this, be careful when you're doing this. Don't take unnecessary risks. Be smarter than me. If you use the grain, you can take off quite a bit of material. Just gotta be careful. Put a notch where you want it to stop. There we go. And it'll just snap off right there with the notch. Okay. There we go. Now I've got two different legs. And we'll round those legs out a little more. Like I said, I mean, if you're new to this, don't get intimidated by it. I mean, I'm still new to doing this. I don't know much, but like, I made a little guy, you know? You can do the same. I do want to give him a little bit of a butt, just so it looks sort of realistic. I don't want a flat butt. A little carve right where the butt and the leg meet. Okay, just like that. Now he's got a little bit of a butt. Make some more cuts here. Really get this leg sticking out more. Okay. It should be fairly easy to come in and sand this now. Get his hips a little, not his hips, like a rib cage basically. I want to get his rib cage shaped out better before I start sanding. Oh, his hands. He needs two hands, not one big blocky one. Let's see. No, originally I was going to have him playing like a flute or something, but I don't feel like carving out anymore. I could just take one of these carvings that I have, I guess, and just make a little flute from it and glue it on. I'll do that. Okay, so I need to have left and right. Ooh, I didn't put it at different angles. I should have done that. So I'm just going to stick straight out. But I think that'll be okay because it's holding the flute anyway. So I think it'll be fine. So we're just gonna have to figure out how to carve out his hands. You need to be right. There's that not planning ahead, coming back to bite me. Okay, I gotta be really careful with his hands because they're gonna pop off real easy if I'm not careful. Okay. Gotta get him elbows. Gotta remember to keep it where you guys can kind of see it. Okay, he's gotta have some shoulder blades here. Not super defined because he'll assumably be wearing like clothes. Just wanna envision it a little bit. You know, maybe like the clothes are stuck to him. Carve his neck out a little more. I'm gonna start leveling this off so they look more like shoulder blades. Okay. Level this side off. I wish his hands were at different heights. I wish I had thought about that more. That's okay. We will adapt. Oh, no! Broke his little hand off. I wasn't being very careful. You know what? That's okay. Now I can carve real easy. Be real easy to carve off now. And then I'll just glue it back on. It does mean I'm gonna have to wait to do any sanding. So I'll probably stop here, the rough shape, and maybe I can post a photo of it later or something. If you don't follow already, you can follow, and you can see photos and stuff on YouTube when I post them, so I'll try and post this on there. But his little hand came off. No! Well, it'll look mostly like this if I can kind of hold it in place. He's coming to shape. I'll just put his hand down. Coming to shape. Okay, so, I mean, it's not amazing, but like, this took me what? An hour, and it's fun. And then I got a little guy that I can give to my students, and I'll sand him out, you know, and I'll probably round off his hat a little more. Make it more like sharp in the front. Yeah, actually I'll just do that right now. I'll show you guys what I mean. I was wanting to do this earlier, but I was afraid of taking off too much with the head. Still needing done. A little worried I would mess him up. Hey, probably even do this. Okay, I'll check out the middle here. Don't break, neck. I can feel you straining. Sorry, you're not gonna be able to see it because I put a little too much pressure on it, but there's a tough bit up here that I can't quite carve, and I'm not sure. There's like a knot there, or I am going against the grain a little bit, but I kind of got to in this spot. It's hard to cut with the grain. Actually, I'll use this. Okay. Anyway, so it's gonna be kind of like that. But anyway, I got a mess to clean up. Wounds I should probably clean, and then I gotta glue his little hand back on and figure out how I'm gonna keep it attached. I feel bad, even though he's just a little wooden guy. He's gotta have his hand, or he can't play his instruments. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I don't do a lot of videos like this, but I like doing this stuff, so I might just start videoing myself whenever I am. But have a good day. It's a Sunday for me. Hopefully whatever day it is for you, you're having a good one. Bye.